You know that feeling when you eat a really heavy meal and you think, okay, this is going to take forever to digest, so my blood sugar will be fine? Well, what if I told you that feeling is basically a trick? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the great digestion deception. So picture this. You've just had a big, dense meal. It's sitting in your stomach like a rock. And your first thought is probably, awesome, this is going to break down nice and slow, which means no crazy blood sugar spike. It makes perfect sense, right? But what if that feeling of heaviness is actually leading you completely astray? And this right here is the big reveal we're diving into. That physical sensation of a food being heavy or hard to digest, well, it has almost nothing to do with how fast that food actually raises your blood sugar. It's a massive disconnect that honestly fools most of us every single day. So you're probably asking, how is that even possible? Well, the key is realizing that we're talking about two totally separate systems in your body. One is all about the physical feeling in your stomach, and the other is about the chemical speed of sugar getting into your blood. Okay, let's break it down. Over here on the left, you've got that stomach feeling. This is a physical thing happening in your stomach and large intestine, and it's influenced by stuff like fiber, fat, and how thick or sticky the food is. But over on the right, you've got blood sugar speed. That's a chemical reaction that happens later in your small intestine, and it's all about the food's starch structure and how you cooked it. Two different jobs, two different locations, two totally different sets of rules. I love this analogy. Think of your stomach as just a waiting room. Sure, a lot of things can make that waiting room feel really crowded and backed up, but your small intestine? That's the express lane right onto the blood sugar highway. And just because there's a long line in the waiting room, it doesn't mean the on-ramp to the highway is slow. All right, let's make this real. I want to look at two super common foods that are absolute masters of this deception. I have a feeling these are going to blow your mind a little bit. Okay, first on our list is the sweet potato. I mean, it's the poster child for healthy carbs, right? It's packed with fiber, full of vitamins. But, and this is a huge but, the way you cook it completely changes the game. So check this out. If you bake that sweet potato until it's super soft and syrupy, it feels really light and easy to digest. But guess what? Its blood sugar impact is high. The heat has already broken down the starches for you, making them super easy to absorb. Now, if you boil or steam it, it feels a bit heavier and the impact is medium. But here's the magic trick. Cook it and then let it cool down. It feels a bit firmer, yeah, but its blood sugar impact drops. We're going to get to why in just a second. Now for an even crazier example. Let's talk about tapioca. You know, like the pearls in bubble tea or in a classic tapioca pudding. Anyone who's had tapioca knows that feeling. It's thick, it's sticky, and it feels like it just sits there in your stomach for ages. And you're not wrong. Scientifically, it's so viscous that it literally slows down how fast your stomach empties. So, it has to have a low blood sugar impact, right? Wrong. Not even close. And this is the perfect example of the whole deception. The second that sticky tapioca escapes the waiting room of your stomach and hits the express lane of your small intestine, it's a completely different story. Chemically, its structure is almost pure rocket fuel starch that your body turns into sugar incredibly fast. That heavy feeling, it was a complete and total illusion. Okay, so if we can't trust the feeling in our stomachs, what can we trust? Let's dive into the real rules that actually control how food hits your bloodstream. It really all boils down to two things: chemistry and preparation. First, the actual chemical structure of the starch in the food, and second, how you process and cook it. That's it. It's not about how heavy it feels, it's about science. See, the more a food is physically broken down before it even gets to your mouth, the less work your body has to do. So if you turn a potato into a powder or mash it up, you're going to get the fastest possible spike. Baking is next. Boiling or steaming it whole is even better. But the absolute best method for a slow, gentle rise, cooking it and then cooling it down. This process actually creates something amazing called resistant starch. And that brings us to the real heroes of the starch world. You've got resistant starch, which we just mentioned. You find it in things like cooled potatoes or rice, and it literally resists being digested quickly. Then there's high amylose starch, found in things like beans and lentils. Its chemical structure is a long, straight chain that's just physically harder for your body to chop up into sugar. So we've busted the myth. We've gone through the science. Now let's put it all together and build a new, smarter food compass you can actually use. This chart says it all, doesn't it? I mean, just look at the wild contrast. The tapioca that feels so heavy, high impact. The baked sweet potato that feels pretty light, also high impact. But then the cooled rice that just feels normal, Low impact. Your gut feeling is just not a reliable guide here. It's as simple as that. So, what can you do? Here are 3 super simple, actionable rules you can start using today. 1. Whenever you can, cook your starches whole. Think steaming or boiling. 2. Get in the habit of letting your rice, pasta, or potatoes cool down. It literally builds that blood sugar-friendly, resistant starch. And 3. Never eat your carbs alone. Always pair them with some protein and fat to physically slow down that sugar absorption. If you take away only one thing from this entire explainer, please let it be this. Your stomach's feeling is a physical sensation. Your blood sugar speed is a chemical reaction. They are simply not the same thing. And that really leaves us with one last question for you. The next time you sit down to eat and you get that heavy or that light feeling in your stomach, are you going to trust that feeling or are you going to listen to the science? Thanks for joining us.